WSIC News Radio, and you're listening to We're Just Saying with Senator Vicky Sawyer and David. If you'd like to be part of the show, 844 Studio 4. We are streaming live on the WSIC News app, which is available on iOS and Android, though I'm not sure we really want Android users, just because Android is the phone of people who are contrarian and hard to get along with. And I stand by that. Morning, Senator Sawyer.
Well, just straight out of the gate, go ahead and just trash, but very valid reasons. I mean, the green
dot, the green bubble.
I want to be able to send a PDF. I want to be able to send a fun little GIF. I mean, why do they want to deny me the ability? I did say GIF, like peanut butter.
GIF.
As GIF.
GIF. GIF is a peanut butter. GIF is the internet thing.
GIF is my favorite peanut butter.
It is solid.
Extra crunchy.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
But speaking of extra crunchy, there's a party going on here at WSIC. Out in the parking lot, people in lawn chairs, food trucks, man, going on. I mean, it's an event here today.
It is. It's like a Todd Starnes Day, I think you could say.
And well earned. It's really exciting to have him here, actually going to be in studio doing his show here in Statesville. That's amazing.
So I'm still curious. I mean, like, he surely has heard of us by now.
Well, without a doubt.
And we're totally going to take over his show.
Well, I mean, it was. I will say it was a contentious negotiation. Getting us to agree to precede his show. Going in, a lot of money had to change hands and things like that. All for me, none for you, because you're a public official. You can't do that. No. But for me and everything like that. So it was an intense negotiation, but we worked it out, and I think it's going to work out great.
Yeah, I think I did get purchase of one donut. I did have a donut in earlier,
and it was a daylight donut, which, to be fair, is outstanding.
Yeah, not as good as my beloved Krispy Kreme, but a strong second contender.
Definitely strong. Definitely strong.
Winston-Salem brand and home. Hey, so we got Todd Starnes here. We got a great atmosphere. We're going to be having a guest, like kind of a big deal guest.
Yes, absolutely. We're teasing that, because that's what you do in radio. We tease these things to keep you listening.
As the radio professionals that we are.
Exactly.
As we get ready to take over the world.
Exactly. That's what we're on. But we will have a guest in studio here, hopefully for the next segment.
You know what? We can't not just tease. We got to say who it is.
No, we don't.
Yes, we do.
Why?
Well, because I want to brag on him that, maybe he and I both can take over the world on the radio.
Okay, fine. It's your show.
All right.
It's your call.
It is Chief Budget Negotiator, Grand Poobah of the House, Jason Saine.
And WSIC radio host as well.
Yeah. So he's going to come in at the bottom of the hour. We're going to talk some fun budget stuff. Yes, I said fun and budget in the same word. Or same sentence. It really is fun budget. And kind of go through the interplay between the House and the Senate in North Carolina. You can have Senator Sawyer over here, Representative Saine.
See, I'm kind of looking forward to this. Like it can be like a McLaughlin group kind of thing. For people who are old enough to remember the McLaughlin group, right? That's which has half the people here don't. I think it's me and you, and I bet Todd does. I bet Todd does. But it's like I just say, Representative Saine, why is this the Senate's fault?
Yeah, I know. So it's
Senator Sawyer, what do you have to say about Representative Saine's accusation?
Although I will have to over-caffeinate before he gets here, because Saine is wickedly smart and great with a comeback. So I got to get my game going.
Yeah, you're gonna have to represent the Senate.
I know.
You're gonna have to represent the Senate well.
It's nerve-wracking.
Many have tried, many have failed.
But this girl's not going to fail. I'm going to put up a good fight.
You need to bring out Victoria.
Bring out
Victoria.
Oh,
your inner mean girl, Victoria.
Victoria gets to come back next week.
Exactly.
The governor vetoed the bill over billboards.
Of course he did.
Ding, ding, ding. The first bill veto of the short session belongs to this girl and a few others.
Congratulations. What do you win for that?
I don't know. Maybe what I'll win is the ability for the House to actually get on into Raleigh and do some work.
Oh.
Did that work?
Throwing shade when Representative Saine's not even here yet.
Okay. So I'm warming up.
Hopefully he's listening and he will come in loaded for bear.
He's going to be loaded for bear. I know. I can feel it. I feel it. Yeah. So Governor Cooper, our Democrat governor, who has got the record for the most vetoes, and we have the record for the most overrides, has said that we are going to kill the earth. He didn't really say kill, but that billboards and being able to cut down trees in front of billboards is going to just put the whole earth off its axis, kill the earth, Green New Deal. Let me get some more campaign donations from the far left so that I can say that I'm an environmentalist. And don't mind you the 2,000 acres that we had clear-cutted for the Toyota manufacturing group in Randolph County, as we had discussed last week. But these very few trees in front of a billboard That no,
Well,
no.
the Earth is a very precise mechanism. I
Uh-huh.
mean, to keep it on its axis, some things have to remain constant. Okay,
Fair.
you have to make sure that the trees in front of billboards
Uh-huh.
are not cut down
Right.
because, as you said,
Apparently.
global warming, climate change. I think it wasn't wasn't it Gavin Newsom a couple of weeks ago when asked why California had another budget shortfall? It
Yeah.
wasn't that everyone's leaving the state. It wasn't that they had gone up to 25 or 20
Uh-huh.
$20 an hour, $25 an hour minimum wage, and all these businesses were shutting down and laying people off. It
Sure.
was climate change.
Oh,
It was climate change.
okay.
Because like literally, there's nothing that can't be attributed to
From
climate change.
arguably the most beautiful climate in all of the United States, which is California. Everything else about it is rotten, but
Yeah. But literally, there's nothing that can't be attributed to climate change.
Okay,
There's really nothing. It's like the gift that keeps on giving. It really is. But I do want to ask you. So you
What
were
you
you
got?
were down in Raleigh, right?
Again.
Again, you said the house wasn't there,
Man, I don't
or were
know.
they there in body but not in spirit?
I mean, they did one day of work this week.
One day.
Yeah.
Well, there you
Again,
go.
I'm saying again. Build it up for saying because he's going to be able to knock me down. Yeah. So again, I give the House a little bit of deference. They have 120 members. I know it's a lot to get everybody on the same page. The Senate, we only have 50 and 30 of us are Republicans. So we know to show up for work when the short session starts, and we're there until we have session on Thursdays. And so I've been there every week, and we're excited to get some good legislation passed. Jason Saine will be able to tell you more about what's happening with the budgets and that more the inside track on that. But right now, we're just having an issue with getting folks to work.
Yeah. Well, it is summer. And I mean, and I mean that literally. It is summer, right? And all of you, have families that I'm sure that kids getting out of schools and graduations and things
Yeah.
like that. Your lovely daughter graduates this weekend.
Yeah, she graduates tonight. I'm
Very
so
nice.
proud of her. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
exciting.
mine graduated last weekend, and so we're old.
It is.
We're
It is.
old.
I know we really are. I see it in the mirror every day. Actually, I don't see it in the mirror so much because makeup covers it up, but definitely getting out of bed in the morning. I'm always surprised if nothing hurts.
Yeah. See, my thing is like I don't necessarily see it on in the mirror every morning. I just feel it when I wake up. Like you
Yeah.
said, it's just like I go to bed feeling good, nothing's hurting, and then I wake up and like 4 different joints are inflamed and hurting, and I'm like, what? Did I run a marathon in my sleep? Like what happened here? Why is it that I'm waking up with aches and pains? And absolutely, I did nothing but sleep.
I know. I know. Well, that's what the house has been doing all week. So we'll see what
Oh
they.
my gosh.
Did I get 3 in?
Yes,
I
you
got
did.
3 in.
I
Okay,
hope he's
good.
listening because if he hasn't heard
He's
any of
going to
this,
come in hot.
he's going to come in hot if he's heard all this.
I know.
But I know before we get Representative Jason Saine in, we do have a couple of things we are going to talk about today.
Sure.
Obviously, masks and COVID restrictions.
Oh my gosh. The
Back,
religion of COVID.
I know, right?
It has
Rears its
become
head
a
again.
religion. Yeah.
It's like, ooh, are we getting played already? We getting played out? Is this like with the Oscars where they
That
play you
was
off the
Saine.
stage?
That was Saine.
Saine.
That was probably Jason Saine calling
It
in.
was. He called Bill, our engineer extraordinaire, and said, "Play him off stage,
Yeah.
Bill. Play him off stage."
Wait till I get in there.
Exactly. But we are going to talk about COVID restrictions. Obviously, Senate House DEI is still a thing.
Yeah.
Which is amazing to me
Well,
for the inclusion. and
Dale
everything like that.
Earnhardt Incorporated is still a thing, but we're not talking about that.
No, we're not.
Yeah.
Diversity and
Equity
inclusion, and then the SAVE
inclusion.
Act.
And the SAVE Act, something that hits home for you.
It does actually
Literally.
hit home for me. Actually, finally some positive forward movement in that.
Yeah.
In the House, we're going to get into, but we'll get into that after the break. You're listening to We're Just Saying on WSIC Newsroom. We'll be right back. Senator Vicky Sawyer and David. If you'd like to be part of our show, 844 Studio 4. We are still streaming live on the WSIC News app, available on iOS and Android. So you dropped a little bit of a bomb on me during the break.
A little bit.
A little bit. So 2 o'clock press
Kind of
conference.
like I'm getting ready to do to Jason Saine.
Yeah, oh my Lord.
Sorry, I just have to do it. I have to. He's on the way. I know he's listening. I'm sure he's getting loaded up and ready to go.
You're going to get both barrels when he walks in here. I'm telling you.
Barrels.
But we got a 2 o'clock press conference, and in what probably will come as a shock to no one.
Well, because think about when they are announcing it.
Yeah, at 2 o'clock on a Friday. That's
on Memorial Day.
On Memorial Day weekend, because that's when you dump everything out, the unfavorable news. So the amazing NCDOT having a press conference to announce.
I don't know if they're having a press conference, but they definitely are releasing. I'm telling you, these guys, it just gets worse. So North Carolina, we've talked about this a lot. We, and like other states, and by federal law makes us have a construction plan. Like, we do 10 years, the feds ask for 4, but we do a 10-year look forward, and then everyone competes to see who's going to get their road, and then we all divide up the pie, and we go merrily along the way. Well, that works well when you actually are truthful about the capacity to which you can spend and honestly adjust projects for inflation over time. We talked about on this show years ago, and not until 3 years ago, the DOT would front load all of these projects into a 10-year span, and then they would adjust the project cost for inflation at 1% annually. 1%.
Yeah, that's not really flowing with Bidenomics these days.
No, it's not. Well, they after some consternation, they decided to go to 3% adjustment rate year over year of inflation. Inflation. And then just about a month ago, the board said, look, we've got to be more honest, and let's go at a 5% inflation rate, which is still well below inflation, but we're talking about year over year. So what that means is if you just have a bucket and you continue to put inflation in that bucket, then that means those projects in the outlying years are going to get kicked off. So at 2 o'clock today, the DOT is going to announce that yet again, they're going to delay projects that have been promised to North Carolinians. And yet again, the General Assembly is sitting there going, you cannot continue to make these promises you cannot fulfill. And they intentionally do this because they front load the projects for political will, because it is a function of the governor. Every governor wants to be able to say, you get a road, and you get a road, and you get a road. But you can say that all you want. By the time it comes around to actually construct the road, that governor's gone. In 8 years, the governor is gone. And there's no one there other than folks who are representing their communities like myself to hold the bag and say, guys, you cannot continue to make these promises and underdeliver. It is just sickening. It is sickening.
Well, I mean, when you first said that, I was like, oh, great, because there's just so many critical road projects around here. But you did clarify that anything slated to start within the next 4 years, right?
Yeah.
Is going to make it, and that does include Highway 150.
Yeah, it does in 73. That I know of. I haven't seen anything different, but that's what I've been told. But what they're doing is it's like several $1 billion because of Bidenomics and because of the cost of inflation and right-of-way and acquisition. It has ballooned these construction projects and quite frankly, some of the just actual business practices of the DOT, especially when it comes to purchasing of right-of-way and how they're rolling out the projects. It just all is confluenced to a big ball of blech.
Yeah.
Blech.
Blech. That's the technical term.
That's the technical term. That's my economic technical term for the day. Blech. But yeah, so then again, North Carolinians, I always go back to Meemaw and Pawpaw, who are sitting there on the family farm that have been waiting for this road to be constructed. And we were told it was going to get constructed 10 years ago or 20 years ago, and it's not going to be constructed from 10 years from now. They don't have a rolling life expectancy. The end of their life is the end of their life. Some of these people have been waiting for that road to be constructed so that they can sell their property or they can improve their property. And they're playing with folks' lives here and their livelihoods. And I just am sick about it. I continue to try to work harder and harder to get better outputs for project deliveries for the DOT. But again, I told you, it's like a bad neighbor. They don't report to me, right? They report to the governor, and they only answer to the governor. And it's just very, very hard to get my bad neighbor to do the right thing.
So I guess around 2 o'clock you will be scouring over the information to see what's gotten booted and what hasn't.
Yeah, I am. Well, today is graduation day for my baby, so
Maybe
I'll
maybe,
be.
maybe give it to next week then.
Yeah, I might be able
you,
to.
you can't change anything. You can't change anything this weekend.
I'm
Let's
not
be
going to be
fair.
able to change anything, and
You're
I'm.
not that. You're not Jason saying. You're not that effective.
That's true. Now that's a good one. You got me
I'm
back,
trying to I'm
Jason.
trying to represent him because
Yeah,
he's
you
not
are.
here yet.
Well, because you are going to be the referee, apparently.
I do
So,
get to be
yeah.
the referee.
So that's kind of some drag news, and we'll work through it this next week. And we do have some things coming up in the budget or in bills that will try to increase the transparency for DOT and their budgeting. Because when they continue to drop the ball like this, I lose all confidence in the agency to honor their commitments.
So, is something like this give you the opportunity to bring back sort of the thought you had that you were working towards on funding road projects, basically through private funding
Yes.
and guaranteeing? I mean,
Yes.
does this give you another lever to bring this
Has
back
to.
up?
Yeah, it has to. We absolutely need to look at different ways that we can leverage all hands on deck in order to get the very important projects that we are needed. Again, we do have this rural versus urban mentality, especially when it comes to transportation. And so a lot of my fellow senators and House members are very, very rural, and they think that, well, all the money is just going to go to Charlotte and Mecklenburg and Durham and all this other stuff. Well, those projects are more expensive, yeah, so by maybe like by dollar amount, but also look at the amount of money those areas put into our state coffers, right? I mean, arguably the 85 corridor is the economic engine of North Carolina. And so we need to continue to feed the beast, I guess, basically, so that we can be continue to be one of the best states in the nation for business and folks to move here.
Well, and that's the thing about it is that I believe part of the scoring, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe part of the scoring when these projects are scored I think economic impact is a
Yeah.
factor in there. Maybe not as big a factor as maybe some of us would like. I mean, and obviously I'm selfish living in this area, with all the growth we have. I
Right.
mean, there's numerous road projects that we need
Right.
in order to move traffic, not to take away from rural communities
Yeah.
or anything like that. But to be fair, when you're rural, there ain't a lot of traffic.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
and the amount of people flowing through, unless they're flowing through to the beach in many instances, it's just not a lot. And so, but in this area, because of all the jobs, all the people moving here, all the tax revenue that comes out of these areas, the ability to move traffic is key
I
and
know.
it's critical and especially to lure more businesses
Right.
into the state.
Right.
So, I feel like
Well-
that the economic impact of these projects really ought to weigh heavier than I think it actually
It does. And, something that beleaguered our gubernatorial nominee, former Governor Pat McCrory, is going to come back and rear its ugly head, and that's a toll road on 77 South. Guys, there is not enough money in North Carolina to build that road. I mean, the amount of money that they're talking about is in the billions, maybe 1 billion just for the right of way acquisition. In other words, that's the amount of land that the agency must buy in order to widen the road. So that alone is 1 billion, and it's not
And this
even
is to take it from where it comes out in downtown all the way to the South Carolina line.
all the way to the South Carolina line. I mean, there's already been talking about, that going to be a tolled lane. And if you want it now, which you need it within the next 5 years, that is the only option really that's going to be presented to that community. Now, they can wait, but what it will do is the way our funding is set up is that if you wait for the actual funding to be ready for that corridor, you're going to be waiting for another 15 to 20 years, and you're going to drain all the money out of your bucket that is appropriated to you by Raleigh. So no other projects will be able to be completed in the Charlotte area at the expense of I-77 South. And arguably, it's for folks who are North Carolina tax evaders who live in South Carolina to come into North Carolina and Charlotte.
Tax evaders who work in Charlotte.
Yeah.
Well done.
They are. They absolutely are. And so they live in Rock Hill, they commute into Charlotte, and then they move out. So, that's a way to get some of the taxes from those folks who are causing damage to our roads, who don't necessarily put in on the personal income tax or whatever we do to fund transportation.
And they fill up in South Carolina because gas is obviously usually cheaper
Yeah,
there, and they pay,
right.
They don't pay the North Carolina gas tax.
Right,
So
exactly.
it doesn't flow in that way either.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
use
Make 'em
with
pay.
that, make them pay.
Make 'em
exactly.
pay.
Just toll the borders. I still don't understand why we don't do that.
So
I know there's a law, but we should get rid of that law.
they say there is, but I think that's a cop out because you go into other
Yeah,
states
like,
and
follow the law.
yeah, like so I'm in West Virginia, there's a toll going through like West Virginia, right? And when you're going up to Ohio, there's a toll. I've been a lot of places that there are tolls on the interstate. I think you can do it. You just have to get a variation from the feds. But no, gosh, it's so difficult because traffic is the one thing, kind of like education. everybody has an experience with it, right? I mean, you sit in traffic or you sit in a classroom and folks have very logical thoughts on how to fix it.
Oh yeah.
The problem is all the solutions are illogical.
Yes.
And it's just because it's politics
Well,
in its worst form.
well, and it's what is I forget who it was that said it, but it's like they said that in politics there are no novices, only experts.
Yeah.
So,
That's great.
So yeah, and I can't remember where I heard that, but yeah, there are no novices, there are only experts all throughout politics.
I just did not know.
Present company excluded, of course. I
well,
mean, you are an expert. We acknowledge that.
Just one look into my email, you will see that our schools have done something right. They have produced thousands of constitutional scholars.
And we thought civics was dead in public
We thought
education.
civics was dead.
So many constitutional scholars and experts on state statutes, and of course, then the morality, you throw that in there right there.
Yeah.
And I mean,
yeah.
and I can't see, and that's when people say that Republicans are attacking the education system. Just read your email, see how many experts there are out there that are emailing in.
Hey,
we're doing it right.
For our Rated X segment, I did have to go to my email for this one and not for the Twitterverse. So
You gotta start Twittering more.
I gotta start. I do tweet.
But you just don't tweet enough. Like this is a volume game. In order to solicit good responses, we need more volume for you.
Yeah,
out there.
I know. Well, don't worry. We're in session, so I'm sure some controversial stuff will come out soon.
Well, or not, or you'll find a fight to pick like you did with the billboards.
Yeah.
Victoria will come out and look to pick a fight with somebody. Then you can tweet about it. Tell some poor legislator, I'm sorry that I'm picking this fight with you today, but I gotta have some content for my show on Friday. And I'm gonna tweet about this. I'm gonna make you cry. I'm gonna tweet about how I made you cry, and then I'm gonna put it on my show. But I really don't mean any offense by it.
Yeah, no offense.
No offense at all.
I love
You're listening to We're Just Saying on WSIC News Radio. We'll be right back.
Stay with us. We'll have more of We're Just Saying with NC Senator Vicki Sawyer after this short break on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
Well, for our Friday, as we kick off the Memorial Day weekend, hot and humid with scattered thunderstorms. It looks a lot like summer across Lake Norman. We'll warm into the upper 80s for the afternoon. Do keep an eye out for Friday evening plans for a few scattered thunderstorms. That's kind of how the rest of the weekend and into Memorial Day will go. Humidity is back. It'll be warm, toasty, upper 80s each afternoon. Not everybody gets a storm every day, but just be ready to be a little flexible with outdoor plans. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Right now, Sharp's Lawn Equipment is offering 0% financing up to $800 rebates and Toro time cutter mowers as low as $29.99. Visit Sharp's Lawn Equipment in Statesville or visit us at sharpslawn.com.
Pizza's here.
Oh, great. I'd love some, but I'm worried about my stomach issues.
If you're worried about having diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools, it may not just be stomach issues. It could be a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
We used to argue about whose turn it was to clean the gutters, but then I had Leaf Filter gutter protection installed.
Wait, I told you Leaf Filter had free inspections and estimates and a lifetime guarantee.
Meaning we never have to argue about whose turn it is to clean the gutters again.
But I visited leaffilter.com/beacon first.
No, I did.
It doesn't matter who. Visit leaffilter.com/beacon to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off today.
See representative for warranty details. Promotion is 20% off plus a 10% senior or military discount. One discount per house.
Grow in your faith with biblical teaching from the Word of God. Listen to Pastor Steve Pope from Calvary Baptist Church, Sunday mornings at 9 here on News Talk WSIC, or listen on demand at WSICnews.com.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. It won't solve the problem immediately, but drug maker Eli Lilly is making the biggest single investment in its nearly century-and-a-half history to address shortages of its weight loss drugs. Lilly will spend $5.3 billion to expand its manufacturing site in Indiana, boosting production of a key ingredient in its Zepbound and Mounjaro treatments. The expansion is set to create 5,000 construction jobs and 200 permanent jobs for skilled workers such as engineers, scientists, and lab techs. Rapid deceleration in demand for electric vehicles has prompted EV makers such as Tesla and Rivian to cut jobs. Now Lucid is doing it, announcing elimination of 400 positions to cut costs. That's roughly 6% of its payroll. It follows Lucid's latest results, a wider than forecast loss. Lucid shares losing 4%. Wall Street's indexes splitting it. Dow losing 0.1%, Nasdaq up more than 0.5% in record territory, S&P rising 0.5%. Andrew O'Day, Bloomberg Radio.
Call now to speak with NC Senator Vicky Sawyer at 844-STUDIO-4. It's We're Just Saying on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
Welcome back to We're Just Saying on WSIC News Radio with Senator Vicky Sawyer and David. Like to be part of the show, 844-STUDIO-4. We are still streaming live on the WSIC News app, available on iOS and Android. We finally have the illustrious Mr. Chairman, Senior Appropriations Chair of the North Carolina House, Jason Saine, is in. I feel like this is like the ultimate WSIC crossover episode. It's like when JR visited Falcon Crest, or like the Family Guy went to Springfield with the Simpsons, or whenever Grey's Anatomy visited wherever the other show that was. Like it's like an ultimate crossover. House, Senate, different shows, different days. Two Titans, let's get it on. It's like that's what I feel like I'm watching here.
Well, I was thinking we're like King of the Hill and Beavis and Butthead, but it works.
Yes, great. Yes, actually, no. That's the quality one. Leave it to you to bring it. But Representative saying, great to have you here.
Well, it's great to be with you and Victoria.
Oh, no. Yeah, so you did get to, apparently got a chance to hear my ribbing, good-natured ribbing.
I've got this app on my phone. It says WSIC, and I don't know what the acronym stands for, but it's something about SmackDown is coming, I think.
I knew when I poked the bear. I knew. I was like, oh, gosh, he's smart.
Well, I told her she was front-loading all her comments when you weren't here, because she was just like, I got to get these out now, because once he's here, I'm gonna freeze.
Yeah, I'm going to be frozen in the awe.
Well, I was just coming off the lake because I didn't have anything better to do this week, and because in the house.
Y'all don't work.
No, actually, we do so much in one day. As soon as we get those 700 and some bills heard that's sitting over in Senate Rules versus the 200 sitting in House Rules, we'll talk about who's been showing up to work.
Well, it is great to have, but like obviously budget short. It's like budget is like Groundhog Day, right? We're always talking budget and everything like that. But like so, between the House and the Senate, in our show prep, Victoria labeled it as a standoff, which I don't know if that's quite accurate or not.
Well, I've got good news.
Good.
I've got good news. I've got text here from some guy named Brent. Senator Jackson, if you will. We've got some movement going on where the log jam is quickly unjamming is the good news. Look, I said it in the paper yesterday. Look, you always have this. This is just that time of year. You set your watch by it when we come back, but to short session. But you always have this conflict between the House and Senate. It's just natural, and somebody doesn't get their way one day, and so they walk away. And before you know it, by the next afternoon, we're right back. But in the meantime, in that 24-hour period, there's been enough calls and enough people and enough comments that, then it becomes like a wrestling match, which I love.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I mean, I would love to see Phil and Tim get in a cage together. I can't lose either way.
You can't. Exactly. You can't lose at all.
Passing in razor blades into the fence, it'd be awesome. But no, it's good-natured ribbing. People going back and forth, just trying to get to an understanding of where we want to be, and it's just the natural setup of how the founders, in their genius, put it together. And it's the best government we got, and I prefer this to anything else. And we'll eventually get there. Good news is with our state, everything keeps running. We're operating on a budget we passed last year. We passed 2-year budgets. Mm-hmm. So all we're talking about right now is making adjustments to what we already have.
Mm-hmm.
Which is perfect.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But why are you being so conciliatory?
Because I'm just waiting for him to
I'm in the
lower
room.
the
Yeah, because in the room. That's why. In the room. That's why. So
I'm plotting over here.
You're plotting over there. So, Reverend was saying
planning.
before you got here, we were talking about DOT releasing some information on projects and stuff like that are going to be delayed. And I know that transportation is something you heavily focus on in the House as well. And so, like from a House standpoint, Senator Sawyer has actually, being a transportation chair, floated a lot of ideas and things like that. For one of the ones that I thought was genius was leveraging private institutions, banks to front load money on the guarantee of the back end tax dollars as they come in,
sure.
And everything like that. From a House standpoint, like what are some things you all are looking at to try to break this logjam of projects and DOT funding?
Well, I was listening, and I do appreciate the good ribbing, but Senator Sawyer is absolutely correct. Capital flows to where it's treated best. So if we change the law, if we work with DOT, or better yet, we tell DOT what to do, and they actually do it. That's part of our problem. A lot of times we pass laws and they ignore it because of the Democratic administration. But if we could get capital flowing into the state, into road projects, these things will help solve themselves to a degree. Now, you'll never have enough roads. It's like trying to have enough broadband internet, right? You just can never have enough. And by the way, nobody calls us 20 years before they're on their way to this great state to say, hey, we're going to move into a certain area of your state and we're going to overload it for a while, and your transportation system is going to suffer because of it. So we're always playing catch up. That's just the nature of transportation. And you know, our Senate transportation folks, our House transportation, they work very hard on this. They do. And look, we hear it. We have to sit in it. We have to drive in it. You know, everybody, you know, I shouldn't say this word, but bitched about the toll roads. But by God, they're getting on them, and I travel them all the time. I was like, please, I need relief going back and forth from Mooresville to Charlotte, or trying to get to Charlotte to Mooresville, then over to my house in Lincoln, right? So, you know, you don't have to pay it. If you don't like it, don't pay it. But at the same time, you know, we've got to find ways to alleviate the traffic, period. And so we're going to have to be innovative. We're going to have to do things that we haven't done before. I know, Senator Sawyer, you worked on things looking at the EV vehicles that are coming. I mean, or that are here, really. They're not coming. They're here. And consumers are making their choices. And we have to find ways to get revenue to keep paving roads, keep making a way for people to traverse. I do like vertiports. We'll talk about that at some
let's
point.
talk about vertiports. We kind of glossed over that one day.
Yeah.
But tell everyone what a vertiport is.
So
I'm very excited about
Well,
this.
a vertiport is kind of a vertical airport. So think about like a traveling device that you can get in. It lifts off straight up and then takes you to where you need to go. And it is amazing, and it's already here. It's in California. I know, in California, right? Despite all those challenges, and you're absolutely right about California. But they're at other places across this nation, right? And what it is, it's you get to this point, and it can take you across a town, a city, or whatever, and get you there quicker, faster, and at a price point, as these things start to expand and start to become a thing, a price point that most people can afford. That's the beauty of it. It's Hyundai has got a helicopter, whatever they're calling them, the vertiport provider.
Like a man drone, yeah.
Yeah,
something
like a
that.
man drone. Yeah. And it safely get you there. It's got, duality in the system. So, if you have a failure, then you're still flying, those type of things. So there's a lot of safety involved in that. So they're getting to that point. We get those things here. Man, maybe that makes it a lot easier. Maybe it alleviates some of that pressure on the roads. But even then, you got to watch out and make sure that you've got an open market so that everybody can compete. We've been working on model legislation that would do just that, keep a level playing field so that capital can flow in. But it's a challenge, and I tell people all the time, we'll never get the roads to where we need them in time enough for us. Right. I remember when 485 was being built around Charlotte, it took forever, just because of the scope and the size of everything going on and the inflation that's happening. And then when you don't plan for inflation, like our wonderful folks didn't do, it makes it even harder and a bigger challenge.
Right. Absolutely, yeah.
And it's funny. And so when actually sat in on a policy discussion with you that you had chaired at a conference one time where you were talking about vertiports and like how and specifically the concept of private airports, like in neighborhoods and things like that. And because, the public, FAA controls the airspace, right? All airspace is technically public. And so, and it was a whole policy position on something as innocuous as, private airports for these things to be able to land at. But it's funny when you talk about that because what it highlights is anytime you've got new technology coming in, innovative technology, the legislation always has to catch up. And it's a time-consuming process because you don't know what you don't know when it's implemented. And so because I was sitting there and it was riveting discussion. And naturally, I love those things. But when you were talking about just private airports and vertiports, I was just like, this is really a thing.
Yeah,
it's really a thing, and that's just amazing.
George Jetson.
Would you ride in it?
Oh, 100%. Yeah,
I would too.
Yeah. So I keep on thinking that transportation planners and our community planners, they go to this school that taught them how to think in the 17th and 18th century, and they have not graduated past that point.
That's right.
Everything's got to be trains and everything's got to be public transit and they do not. I feel like they fail to think about the individual freedoms of what we culturally have here, especially in North Carolina. We love our cars.
We do love our cars.
We love being able to get to a place and from a place on our time, not a train time.
Yep.
It's just culturally where we're at. And so that's why we like, and you and I talked about things like the Boring Company with the Loop, like in Vegas,
Yeah.
which is, you've said that actually. You've been ahead of your time for a while. You said we should have a tunnel underneath Lake Norman for as long as I've known you.
Support the channel. The channel now.
We want a tunnel now. Yeah, so that, unfortunately, we can't mask up and go protest about that and mark traffic, though. So.
Well, yeah, block traffic. Look, I'll just say this about the mask thing. Like,
yeah.
Okay, I mean, for some people, and some of the folks that are real supportive, I understand if you got health concerns. I think that was addressed, but just lost in translation. However, for some, the mask, it's visually pleasing to see the mask on some of these folks.
Yeah.
I'll leave it at that.
So, and then, to be fair, you may not be, what you are not taking into account with this is the mental welfare of the people who feel like they look better with the mask on. And like, I mean, you're triggering these poor people with your short-sightedness because they love the way they look in a mask. It's an air of mystery.
When we get this to conference, you're going to love what I'm going to insert about paper bags. It's going to be amazing.
But now don't ban them at Panther Stadium. We need to still be able to put paper bags over our heads. Yeah, and we still need to be able to put paper bags over our heads for Panther Stadium.
I am going to miss, though, the fact that if folks who wear masks purposely to conceal their identity, when they do walk around like that, you can tell that they're not Republican. You just like, it's like, okay, now I know. There's just a sense when they come up, you're like, oh, okay, now I know how you're going to be addressing me right now.
Kind of self-selected.
Yeah,
Danger Will Robinson. Danger Will Robinson. Well, it's like, it's not rude, but it's like sometimes you see, like on these college campuses and these protests and like that, and they're wearing their masks and like that, but like on the off chance the mask comes off, they look exactly like you think they were going to look.
They do.
They honestly, it's like, I in my head, I know exactly how you look.
Your mugshots.
And yes, and when it comes out, it's just like, yep, got it, spot on. There was no mystery there. Absolutely. Well, we got Respirator Jason Saine with us here on We're Just Saying, and we are going to take a break, and then we'll be right back.
There's more We're Just Saying with North Carolina Senator Vicky Sawyer on the way from 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Well, for our Friday, as we kick off the Memorial Day weekend, hot and humid with scattered thunderstorms. It looks a lot like summer across Lake Norman. We'll warm into the upper 80s for the afternoon. Do keep an eye out for Friday evening plans for a few scattered thunderstorms. That's kind of how the rest of the weekend and into Memorial Day will go. Humidity is back. It'll be warm, toasty, upper 80s each afternoon. Not everybody gets a storm every day, but just be ready to be a little flexible with outdoor plans. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Here is your WSIC community calendar. Langtree Live in Mooresville offers up free music on Thursday, May 23rd with a performance by area favorite and Carolina's premier rock and roll cover band, Black Glass. Event time is 6:30 p.m. with the concert powered by Waves Entertainment beginning at 7. Friday is live under the Oaks at Birkdale Village in Huntersville. Justin Minton's solo music performance of rock, R&B, and soul begins at 6 p.m. Grab your chairs and head to the Birkdale stage on Friday night for free music by Justin Minton. The Charlotte Motor Speedway has high-speed NASCAR racing for Memorial Day weekend. On Friday, the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series holds the North Carolina Education Lottery 200. The ARCA Series is also in action on Friday with the General Tire 150. On Saturday, the NASCAR Cup Series holds their qualifying session, and the Xfinity Series races in the Bet MGM 300. Sunday, the NASCAR Cup Series competes in one of their crown jewels, the 65th running of the Coca-Cola 600. Visit CharlotteMotorspeedway.com for tickets and information. The Kane Center for the Arts welcomes Philip Hamrick on Friday, May 31st for his album release celebration. The singer-songwriter from Mooresville releases his first solo album as an independent artist with The Tunnel Club. Hamrick's personal stories are delivered through vocals and acoustics. Doors open at 7 p.m. with Hamrick's The Tunnel Club album release celebration at 8 p.m. on Friday, May 31st. For tickets, more information on this show and many other programs, visit CainArts.org. That's C-A-I-N Arts.org. To keep up with all the events happening around the community and much more, including amazing local deals, download the WSIC News app today.
Now back to We're Just Saying with North Carolina Senator Vicky Sawyer on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
Yeah. Welcome back to We're Just Saying on WSIC News Radio with Senator Vicky Sawyer, special guest Representative Jason Saine, and of course yours truly, David. I'd like to be part of the show, 844 Studio 4. We are still streaming live on the WSIC News app. So just before the break, or just during the break, we were talking like Niner Nation represented in here today.
That's right.
All of us proud UNC Charlotte graduates.
Yeah.
Go Niners.
It is like a triumvirate. Consider this an invitation to my Niner Nation.
Exactly. See, look at that. That's why his ratings are so much better than yours.
Well, because I get the Ice Cube demographic that you don't get.
Exactly.
I get the Ice Cube demographic.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yes,
no.
You rock the party. That's what you do.
But I do say that we're going to bring this show together, and we're going to overtake Todd Starnes at any moment.
I'm sure
he's out there very
I'm
worried.
sure we're creeping up on him.
Yeah.
So as quickly as this is going, we could do 3 hours.
Oh, easily 3 hours. It doesn't look that hard, right?
No.
I think it's very complicated. But going out of the break, so another item, diversity inclusion, that has been a topic we've talked about a couple times on the show of late, and the UNC system coming up on voted to abolish the DEI standards.
Yeah, which, arguably, if you've been on a campus, it's kind of naturally happening already. So there should this artificial construct of you have to look a certain way in order to be admitted, and not putting into regards your entire work history as a young person, and then getting denied because your history was Asian, or it was a male, not a female. That's actually, for me, it's racism and sexism and classism, and right there, and it's instituted through our university system. So I'm grateful that our Board of Governors, and you had a big hand in that too, working towards stopping this kind of racist practices.
I mean, it's just weird if you think about what if we looked at kids and said, hey, here are our standards to get in our school. If you meet these standards and, we think you've got some potential here, we just put you in as a student. I mean, that's a novel concept. Or we could just lay all these other, false narratives out there to give people jobs that really couldn't do crap otherwise. Because that's really what it's all about. And it's a political movement. And finally, some folks with some sense have said, we're not doing that.
Right.
We appreciate diversity. Yes. Do we appreciate including people? Absolutely.
Right.
But do we level the playing field in such a way that we're excluding others by leveling a playing field, which means you're not truly leveling it, right? And that's really what DEI is about. It is based in nothing but a political movement and political opportunists, and that's what it's about. It's about getting people on a payroll who you wouldn't pay otherwise because they can't do anything. And I'm talking about these officers, these DEI officers. And look, I know there'll be people that take exception with that, but you know what? I don't have to go and try to get in that school now. So that's the good news for me.
Yeah.
But and some universities have dealt with it the right way, some have not. Just making sure that we do, I think, is incredibly important. We hear it from constituents, and I think that's a shock to people in Raleigh when you say, I get this question all the time at home.
Right.
What are we doing pushing back against this thing? This is one of those top of mind things. So the far left can cry about it all they want to, but us in our districts, this matters to our folks.
Right.
And the fact that we're addressing it, I think, is a big win for the state.
Right. And what is the budgetary thing the Board of Governors is doing is to collapse the budget for DEI and give it to campus safety and public safety.
Well, that's what Chapel Hill wanted to do, the Board of Trustees
Okay.
there, which I think is right. Peter Hans has come back and said, well, they didn't have the authority to do that. Well, then fine, figure a way to give them the authority, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like when I came to the legislature, they said, well, we can't have virtual meetings. I said, well, who says? Well, the rules. Well, who makes the rules? Well, then
Yeah.
make the rules and make it say that, right?
Right.
That's not that hard. But we've made progress in it. And look, it's people's money. I mean, you're paying taxes to let these people push this kind of policy. So we've had enough. We're not going to do it.
Right.
Well, it's interesting, and we've talked about this before. It seems like that we go on a tact where society as a whole, the media shames us into you have to think this way, you have to embrace these things, and the left keeps pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing. Boys can be girls and girls can be boys. Diversity and inclusion. George Floyd riots. We're going to burn cities down. And it goes, and they always get to a point where people kind of say, "Okay, wait a minute, enough."
You finally
All right,
lost your
you
minds.
finally lost
Yeah.
your minds, right? And when we first started, okay, maybe some reasonable, everything like that.
It's
But
like protesting with mask on and then walking out and removing your mask during the protest. I
Yeah.
mean, it seems a little insincere.
Right.
Not that a governor would do that. I'm just saying, if it should happen, it would seem insincere.
Well, and I get, people who are immunocompromised and everything like that need to wear their mask. But to be fair, if you find yourself in that unfortunate state where your immune system is compromised, you really can't be around, you're very susceptible to sickness. Why are you going into a cesspool of people and yelling and screaming around people whether a mask on or not? I mean, you're congloming yourselves in with any number of potential diseases.
Who arguably have been like not very clean. Have you
Yes.
seen those people?
I have seen the camps. I have seen the pictures.
They
yes.
have grocery store feet.
It's almost like when we as parents and Jackson was younger, and we said, "No, you don't get to go play in the ball crawl."
Yeah.
Seemed like a bad idea.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Not that those weren't fun, but they were petri dishes.
They are.
To be sure. They are absolute petri dishes.
It's gross. Hey, speaking of petri dishes, somebody wants to do a save act. I think your
Yes, no,
beautiful
actually,
wife
no,
Amanda Coble wants
yes,
to talk
no,
about
very
the save
excited.
act.
Very
I've never heard of this.
excited.
Tell me more.
Yeah.
Actually, no, and
Okay.
I need to give a kudos to Representative Jason Saine. Last year, when this came up, my wife, who is a nurse practitioner, this is something that is very dear to her heart, emailed a number of legislators, and there were basically two that responded back to her.
Yeah.
You,
Uh-huh.
Senator Vicky Sawyer, and you, Representative Jason
Hey-o.
Saine, and actually responded back. And so she very much appreciated that. And I know that you have been working on the I know it's been very a contentious issue, but
Well-
this week there was there was actually a little bit of movement in a positive direction.
But give it like a 30-second, what is the save act?
So I mean, basically, you're the legislator.
Okay, well, I'll tell you.
Know?
Yeah, well, it's actually.
We're waiting for somebody to read it.
I know. It's very simply saying that, hey, look, there are advances in technology with medicine specifically, and nurse practitioners and some nurses have the skills and technology available to do a little bit more than they were able to do in the past. And doctors are going, wait a minute, they didn't go to 4 years they didn't go through 12 years of medical school and do residency, so they're not allowed to diagnose a cold.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like seriously like that. I mean,
Right.
it's about the same thing. And nurses are like, man, we're here. We're already doing this. We have a supervising physician that I never see, right? That nobody's really supervising me. It'd be like one physician who looks over,
Yeah.
I don't know how many nurses or so forth. And it seems just like an unnecessary cost to burden. And that's what the idea of the SAVE Act is, right?
That's it.
To allow nurses to be able to, and some other professions, to be able to practice at the top of their scope.
Yeah. Well, and also it's a great opportunity. And also, to be fair, it's very difficult now, and I know you both have dealt with this in many instances, difficult to get healthcare in rural areas
Right.
because doctors
Yeah.
demand a certain amount of money and everything like that, and they're reluctant to go, whereas nurse practitioners, less cost less
But
from an insurance standpoint, but
this-
also can be in those rural areas.
This is what kills me about healthcare and why I wanted to get off that. Because everybody comes up with this whole excuse about for patient care.
Mm-hmm.
And really what they mean is the care of their pocketbook. Like it's all about money. Every side of it is about money. And it's just so sickening because they all disguise it as the best care for the patient.
Right.
And that's where we're at. And then we're going to have this fight. You've had it for how long?
Just as long as I've been in the legislature.
Yeah.
Right. And look, it's about people protecting their pockets and about protecting their areas of expertise, which I understand.
Correct.
That doesn't make them bad people because of it. But let's not give me this, line about it was always about the best thing for the patient. I think it is about the best thing for the patient when they can actually see someone. When you're having to wait or you don't get access to the health care that you need, and you're having to wait, I mean, especially if you're a dude, you and I,
Yep.
if you put a barrier there,
Yeah.
chances are I'm not going.
Right.
And that's for simple things. But in reality, there have been so many advances in technology, and I promise you, nobody is going to go broke in healthcare. I promise you. I mean, just getting a visit, right? And so this is about getting more patients seen. If you really do want to, do something for public health, here's a good way to do that. And there's a lot of other innovations. It's like, who would have imagined telemedicine, 20 years ago? And now we're able to do it. I remember the first call during COVID, my father called, and he's not all that technologically astute. After he did his first telemedicine visit, loved it. I mean, it can be convenient. I mean, it's along the same lines of thinking, how do you think outside the box? How do you be innovative? And how do you get more patients seen? That's what it's all about.
100%.
Right.
Well, I mean, I'm thrilled that we're actually seeing some movement on this. Thank you all for addressing a little bit on the show. Today is my wife's birthday, so that was a fantastic birthday gift.
Happy birthday.
Shout out to my baby, 29 years old for the, I'm not saying how many
Don't say
time,
it,
but it's
David.
no, a
Don't
lovely
say
29
it.
years old. So before we get out of here, obviously, Rebs are saying we have a segment we do called Rated X. It's when the good senator has tweeted something, and there's always fantastic responses back. But you have your share of responses that come back to you, I believe.
I do, and I play a mean game where I toy with them like a cat with a ball of yarn and just see where they'll go sometimes. So I appreciate this segment. Now it makes sense to me when you said rated X. I thought it was about something else. You're talking about Twitter. Awesome. No, but I love the messages. They
Yeah.
usually start with an F and end with a U. And they're amazing.
Yeah.
And people are so nice. And I don't know why I don't actually move that much closer to their position when they start that way. Right.
Right, because this fellow wanted me to move closer to his position on distracted driving, and today comes from the
distracted driving.
Distracted driving for me.
From you.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, bro, this isn't your legislator. I'm sorry. This is not your legislator.
You literally could have picked anyone else.
Literally anyone else. Literally anyone else.
I did order a Tesla this past week, and I'll tell you why.
The truck? Did you get the Cybertruck?
No, not the Cybertruck. I'm sorry. No, I don't think that thing looks terrible. It's just not, it is awesome. It's not. But no, and the only reason why I chose the Tesla over something else is because it can drive for me. I mean, like literally, because I'm a terrible driver.
You really are.
Well, I can't wait. I might ride with you.
Yeah. So this fellow was very upset with me, and this is what he said. Good morning, Senator. It's pretty sad that I only heard back from one of you, just one. What do you people do all day? Why do you not want our roads safer? Why don't you want to save taxpayers' money? This is not hard. Distracted driving is not safe driving. Now just do your jobs.
Well done. And with that, thank you for joining us on We're Just Saying. Everybody have a great weekend.